There are certain emotions that settle into the body, like winter settles into the earth, quietly, steadily, almost without notice. One morning, you realize you've been carrying something heavy, not in your hands, but in your chest. A memory, a regret, a fear you never fully named. And then, out of nowhere, an old feeling returns. Perhaps it's anxiety or a strange restlessness that makes the day feel unfamiliar, even though nothing has changed. You sit in your favorite chair, the same light filters through the same window, but something inside feels. That's when the question begins to echo, softly at first. Can I really let this go? Can I truly heal what has lived in me for so long? As we age, we're told time will ease the pain, that distance softens grief, that wisdom quiets the mind. But what if that isn't the full truth? What if the fear that visits you isn't a sign of weakness, but a memory the body hasn't yet forgotten? You are not alone in asking. Many of us, especially later in life, find ourselves walking through old stories, not because we choose to revisit them, but because they've become part of how we breathe. We've mistaken repetition for identity, and somehow we've accepted the idea that change, real deep inner change, is no longer possible. But the teachings of the Buddha remind us nothing is fixed, not the mind, not the heart, not even the story we've told ourselves for decades. Imagine your thoughts as monkeys, swinging from one branch of memory to the next, never still, always reacting. Now imagine, beneath that chaos, a still lake, reflecting everything, clinging to nothing. That lake is always there, waiting, and when we stop stirring the water, the reflection becomes clear, healing begins. Today, we invite you into that quiet, not with urgency, but with awareness, because healing doesn't begin with effort, it begins with presence. And presence, in its truest form, asks only this: can you sit with what is without turning away? Let us begin the journey together. Chapter 1. Emotional Addiction, the Invisible Chain. There is a strange kind of hunger we rarely speak about. Not the hunger for food, nor for possessions or praise, but the quiet craving for emotions we've known for too long. Sadness, anger, anxiety, even bitterness. We say we don't want them, but somehow we keep finding our way back to them, like an old melody that plays in the background of our lives, familiar and strangely comforting in its sorrow. You see, the mind is a storyteller, but the body is a creature of habit. If for years your body has felt a certain way, on edge, anxious, resentful, then it begins to crave that state, not out of malice, not even out of memory, but simply because it's become familiar. And the familiar to the body feels like home, even when it hurts. This is what we might call emotional addiction, the unconscious attachment to feelings that no longer serve us but define us. And here lies the quiet tragedy. Many people, especially as they grow older, are not suffering because something is wrong now, but because their body is still reacting to what happened then. A woman once told me, in a soft, almost embarrassed tone, "I think I've been angry for 20 years. I don't even remember the first reason why. But without it, I don't know who I am." Her story is not rare. Perhaps you've met someone like this, or maybe you've seen glimpses of it in the mirror. A lingering unease that comes even when life is calm. A tendency to feel offended quickly. A refusal to let go, even when the past has already passed. The Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." And what a punishment it is to live trapped in emotional patterns that replay themselves again and again like worn-out records. But here's the gentle truth. The emotions themselves are not the enemy. They are messengers, signals, indicators of stories we've not yet healed. The problem arises when we mistake those emotions for our identity. I am anxious, we say. I am bitter. But no, those are feelings, not facts. Temporary weather, not the sky itself. So how do we break the chain? It begins, not with shame, but with awareness. Like watching the ocean tide from a quiet hilltop, we start noticing the patterns. When do these emotions arise? What thoughts accompany them? What memories do they pull to the surface? And we ask ourselves without judgment, am I choosing this, or am I simply reliving it? In Buddhist practice, this is known as mindfulness, noticing without clinging, observing without reacting. Just as a monk watches his breath without trying to control it, we can begin to observe our emotions without becoming them. There is a story in the sutras about a man pierced by a poisoned arrow. Instead of removing it, he insists on knowing who shot it, what the arrow was made of, and why it was fired. Meanwhile, the poison seeps in. So many of us do the same. We hold on to the anger, the grief, the guilt, demanding explanations from the past, all while the emotional poison continues to spread. But healing begins the moment we stop needing to justify our pain and simply choose to set it down. This is not easy work, it's not quick, and it may feel uncomfortable, even frightening at first. But there is a kind of freedom, soft and steady, that waits on the other side. A freedom that says, I am not my sadness, I am not my past, I am the awareness behind it all. To those who say, I cannot change, I've felt this way for too long, I offer this image. A field covered in snow for many winters may forget the feeling of spring, but the warmth still comes, slowly, quietly, and when it does, the snow begins to melt, not with force, but with light, and so too, with us. Let us begin, not with blame, but with breath, not with resistance, but with gentle curiosity. The chain may be invisible, but it is not unbreakable. Chapter 2. The body remembers, and so must the soul awaken. There are wounds we don't see, silent scars etched not into skin but into breath, posture, pulse, the kind that don't bleed yet never quite heal. You can't always point to them, they don't show up in X-rays, but they live in the curve of the spine that tenses at sudden voices, in the heart that races when nothing's chasing you, and in the jaw clenched tight without even realizing. Yes, the mind may forget, but the body remembers. Perhaps it's the argument you had 20 years ago, or the way someone once made you feel small, unseen, unloved. Perhaps it's a betrayal, a loss, or just a slow erosion of joy over the years. Time may soften the memory, but the imprint remains, like footprints left in wet clay, hardened by habit. In Buddhism, there's a teaching called vasana, the traces of experience left in the mind and body. These impressions, if left unexamined, continue to drive our behaviors, feelings, even our destinies, like ghosts whispering beneath our awareness. You see, every strong emotion, especially the painful ones, creates a chemical imprint in the body. When something traumatic happens, it doesn't just register in your brain as a memory, it alters your biology. The body floods with hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Muscles tense, breathing shortens, and if those responses happen repeatedly or remain unresolved, the body begins to live as if the threat never ended. And so many people, especially in their later years, aren't reacting to the present moment, but to a past that their body is still stuck inside of. It's as if the body is a loyal guard dog, always on watch, always alert, even when the danger has long since passed. And the saddest part, the mind may have moved on, but the body has not been told. It's okay now, you are safe. The Buddha once said, "Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned." But what if that coal has been smoldering in your chest for years and you didn't even know you were still holding it? There's a story of a man who wandered the forest for decades, carrying a pack filled with stones. He believed that somewhere ahead he would meet someone who would explain why he had to carry it, but no one ever came. One day, weary and aching, he sat beneath a tree and asked the wind, "Why do I still bear this weight?" And the wind in its wisdom whispered, "Because you never thought to put it down." So how do we put it down? The first step is to recognize that healing is not just a mental process. It is a whole being return to safety, to softness, to presence. It is not simply thinking differently, it's feeling differently, breathing differently, being differently. When we sit in meditation, or even in a moment of stillness with a hand on our heart, we're not just calming the mind, we're whispering to the body, "You can release now. You don't need to guard me anymore. I have returned to this moment. I am home." This is why so many healing practices, whether ancient Buddhist breathwork or modern neuroscience-based meditation, begin with the body, because the body must be included in the transformation. It cannot be left behind. A monk once said, "You cannot step into peace while dragging the weight of every old battle." And yet, that is what so many try to do. They seek calm while still tensed in fear. They speak of forgiveness while their muscles remain clenched in old defense. But when the body finally receives the signal that it is safe, that there is no tiger, no shame, no sword swinging behind us anymore, it begins to change. It rebalances. The nervous system, once frayed, softens, hormones shift, breath deepens, sleep returns, and more than that, joy becomes possible again. Not the loud, dancing kind, but the quiet, steady kind, the kind that sits with you in the garden, in the morning sun, in the silence that no longer feels lonely. To awaken the soul is not to deny the pain of the past. It is to free yourself from its grip, to lovingly say, "Thank you, body, for carrying me through it all. And now let us walk lighter," because healing is not forgetting, it is remembering with peace. Chapter 3. Rewiring the Mind. How meditation transforms the self. There comes a time in life, usually when the noise begins to quiet, and the days stretch longer behind us than ahead, when we begin to wonder, is this it? Is this the shape my life must take from here on out? And then, perhaps while sipping tea alone or watching the rain touch the glass, another question arises, one more daring, more alive. What if I'm still capable of change? Many people believe their patterns, their personality, their inner reactions are carved in stone by the time they reach their 60s or 70s. After all, haven't these habits lived with us for decades? Haven't these thoughts of doubt, worry, resentment, or regret become our constant companions? But what if they're not who we are, just who we've rehearsed being? In Buddhist thought, the mind is seen not as a fixed structure, but as a flowing river, shaped by the currents of attention. Wherever we place our awareness, that is where the river carves its deepest grooves. That means every thought, every reaction, every emotional habit is not a final destination, but a well-worn path. And paths, as you know, can be walked back. Modern science, too, has begun to echo this ancient wisdom. Through a concept called neuroplasticity, researchers now understand that the brain, no matter the age, can create new connections, new patterns, new possibilities. But there is a key: intentional repetition. In simpler words, practice makes reality. And this is where meditation enters, not as an escape, but as a return. Not as something exotic, but as something utterly human. When you sit in meditation, you are doing more than closing your eyes. You are pausing the old stories. You are choosing, breath by breath, to step outside of the familiar loops and into the unknown space where something new can emerge. You are no longer just reacting. You are witnessing. You are reclaiming choice. But let's be honest, it isn't always peaceful, especially in the beginning. You sit, you breathe, and suddenly the thoughts come rushing in. What's for dinner? Why did she say that to me in 1998? I forgot to pay the bill. My back aches. Is this even working? The mind chatters like a monkey in a mango tree, flinging memories and worries in every direction. But here's the quiet miracle. Every time you notice that you've wandered and gently bring yourself back to the breath, you're changing. You're not failing. You're training. Each redirection is a step off the old path and onto a new one. Each moment of presence is like a tiny lantern lit in a long, dark hallway. Over time, and it does take time, the noise quiets. The monkey settles, and something else awakens, a stillness, both ancient and new. A sense that within you lives a self untouched by fear, not bound by history. The you before the pain, the you beneath the patterns. The Buddha said, "What we think, we become." And in meditation, we do not just think, we feel the future we wish to embody. We imagine kindness. We rehearse gratitude. We sit with love, not waiting for it from the outside, but stirring it from within. Little by little, the mind stops reacting from the wounds of yesterday and begins responding from the wisdom of now. There is a lovely image in Zen teaching of the mind as a garden. The weeds of anger, doubt and fear may have taken root, but with steady watering of breath, of presence, of self-kindness, new flowers bloom, and eventually the old ones have no place to grow. You may be wondering, is it too late for me to change? But let me offer this: the mind does not age. Only the stories we tell ourselves about it do. So yes, even now, especially now, you can choose to think a new thought, feel a new feeling, take a new breath. Because to meditate is not to escape life. It is to meet it more clearly. It is to return to the self you were always meant to become. Chapter 4. The Heart's Coherence. A portal to true healing. There is something sacred about the heart, not just as an organ that beats within the chest, but as a compass of the soul. While the mind may analyze, compare, remember, and project, the heart simply knows. It recognizes truth without debate. It holds grief without resistance. And when given the chance, it heals, quietly but completely. For many of us, especially in our later years, the idea of healing often feels tied to medicine bottles, doctor visits, or lab results. But deep down, we know that true healing does not always happen on a table in a clinic. Sometimes it happens in silence, when the heart softens for the first time in years. You see, the heart isn't just a pump. It holds its own rhythm, its own intelligence. In fact, modern science now tells us what Buddhist teachings have hinted at for centuries, that the heart and the mind are deeply connected, not just metaphorically, but biologically. When the heart is in a state of rhythm, of what researchers call coherence, it sends signals to the brain that everything is okay, that we are safe, that we can stop surviving and start living. But coherence doesn't come from thoughts. It comes from feelings, feelings like gratitude, compassion, forgiveness, and most tenderly of all, love. Not the love that demands or longs, but the quiet, spacious love that simply is, the kind of love that says, "I see you, I accept you, you're allowed to rest now." In Buddhist meditation, there's a practice known as metta, loving kindness. It begins with offering well wishes to oneself. May I be well, may I be safe, may I be at peace. And then, like ripples on a pond, it extends outward to loved ones, to strangers, even to those who have caused us pain. This practice isn't just poetic, it's deeply physiological. When you feel sincere love, the rhythm of your heart begins to shift. It becomes more orderly, more balanced. And when that happens, something extraordinary occurs. Your brain begins to quiet, your nervous system relaxes, and your body opens to healing. I remember the story of a veteran, hardened by years of trauma. He had seen things no one should have to see, carried memories too heavy for one heart to bear. After years of insomnia, panic, and despair, he joined a quiet retreat, not expecting much. But during a meditation where he was asked to place his hand on his heart and breathe slowly, something broke open. He wept, not from sadness, from release. He later said, "It felt like my heart remembered how to feel again." That moment of coherence, when the rhythm of the heart aligns with the rhythm of peace, is not a miracle. It is biology meeting grace. But many of us struggle to get there. We carry so many old wounds. How can I feel love, someone might say, when I still feel betrayed? Why should I forgive, another asks, when they never apologized? These are fair questions, and yet they bind us. Forgiveness does not mean excusing. It means unburdening. It is not for the one who hurt us. It is for the one who has lived with the pain, us. The Buddha said, "Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love." This is the eternal rule. When we practice forgiveness, not with words, but with breath, with feeling, we're telling the heart, you don't need to keep bracing, the danger is no longer here. And the heart, when it hears that, it listens, it relaxes, it opens. And when the heart opens, the entire body listens in kind. Hormones shift, inflammation reduces, the immune system strengthens, the body feels safe enough to repair itself, because it no longer has to prepare for war. And so true healing, deep, cellular, emotional, spiritual healing, never begins in the brain. It begins in the space beneath your palm, in the steady, wordless rhythm that reminds you, you are not broken, you have only been bracing. Sit with your heart, gently, not to fix it, but to feel it. Breathe into it, like a prayer without sound. Let the quiet love rise, not because everything is perfect, but because you're ready to stop fighting the past. Because the door to healing does not open with force, it opens with a whisper. Chapter 5, From Reaction to Creation. How to build a new self. There's a moment, often quiet, sometimes heartbreaking, when we finally see it, that much of our life has been lived in response to pain. We didn't mean to carry the past with us for so long. We just never set it down. So many of us have built our personalities around what went wrong, around who hurt us, around what was lost. And though years have passed, we still wake up as the same self, defined not by choice, but by habit. A person once told me, "I don't know who I'd be without my sadness. It's been with me so long, it feels like home." Another said, "I've been bracing for something bad for 30 years, and nothing ever comes, but I can't stop waiting." These are not uncommon confessions. They are, in fact, deeply human. And yet, something within you whispers, there's more. There's something beyond this repetition. Not just freedom from the past, but freedom to create something new. In Buddhist teaching, there is a powerful idea: you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. And if that's true, then you are not your patterns, not your pain, not your fears or failures. You are the artist, the canvas, the breath before the first stroke. So how do we begin? It starts with recognition, recognizing that every reaction, every flash of irritation, every loop of worry is not a curse, but a choice, a practiced path your brain has walked thousands of times. But here's the miracle: you don't have to keep walking it. Imagine standing at a fork in the road, one path paved and familiar, smooth with your footprints, and another barely visible, overgrown, but leading somewhere new. Every time you pause, take a breath, and choose that unfamiliar road, you are creating a new self. This is not metaphor, it is biology. When you think a new thought, I am enough. When you feel a new feeling, peace instead of panic. When you sit quietly and rehearse kindness instead of resentment, your brain begins to rewire. New neural pathways form, new patterns arise, and over time, those new paths become easier to walk. In other words, you are no longer reacting, you are creating. It's not easy. The old self will call you back. It will say, "Be careful." It will whisper, "It's safer to stay angry." It will even make you feel uncomfortable the moment you choose joy. But that discomfort is not danger, it's transformation. It's the old self being asked to retire. It's the cocoon stretching, just before the wings unfurl. There's a powerful metaphor in Buddhist philosophy. The lotus grows in mud. It doesn't bloom in perfection. It rises petal by petal from the dark, sticky earth. And so do we. To build a new self, you don't have to get rid of the old one. You simply stop feeding it. You stop watering the thoughts that shrink you. You stop rehearsing the emotions that bind you. And you begin, ever so gently, to live into the version of you that has been waiting beneath the debris of memory. Start with small acts. Speak to yourself kindly. Imagine your day, not as something to survive, but as a canvas to color. Close your eyes and ask, if I were already free, how would I breathe? How would I walk? How would I speak to myself and others? Then begin to act from that place, not perfectly, but sincerely. And over time, your biology will catch up. Your body will believe you. Your life will begin to mirror back the self you are becoming. The Buddha once said, "Each morning, we are born again." What we do today is what matters most. And what a quiet miracle that is. To wake up, not as a prisoner of yesterday, but as a creator of today. The canvas is before you, the brush is in your hand, and even now, even here, you can still begin again. Conclusion: the journey home to yourself. And so, we return to where we began. Not in the same way, not with the same weight in our chest, or the same tightness in our breath, but with something softer, quieter, wiser. Throughout this journey, we've uncovered truths that many spend a lifetime running from. That healing does not require us to relive every wound, that we are not doomed to repeat the same feelings just because we've felt them for years, that the past is not a life sentence. It's just a story we've grown used to telling. And perhaps most powerfully, we've remembered that meditation isn't something mystical or out of reach. It's not about sitting in silence and pretending to be peaceful. It's about returning to this moment, to this breath, to this self. It is, quite simply, the medicine only you can give to yourself. Every breath you take with presence is a small act of freedom. Every moment you choose awareness over reaction is a quiet revolution. And every time you sit with your own heart, not to judge it, but to listen, is an offering of love. The Buddha said, "You only lose what you cling to," and what a powerful truth that is. Because so often, it is not the pain itself that holds us down, but our grip on it. The need to understand it, to justify it, to keep it close so we won't forget who we became because of it. But dear one, you are allowed to loosen your grip. You are allowed to step out of the armor that protected you. You are allowed to become someone new, not in spite of your past, but because you finally honored it and chose to rise. So let me ask you now, gently but clearly, what emotion has lived in you for too long? Is it fear, anger, guilt? Who might you become if you no longer needed it? Who would you be without the story that keeps looping in your mind? Take a moment with that. Don't rush past it, because the next chapter of your life does not have to be written by the same pen. You can lay it down. You can begin again. Start with one breath. Just one. Not the breath of worry or regret or rehearsed pain, but a breath that belongs to this moment. A breath that does not belong to fear, but to peace. That is enough. That is everything. And if something in this message touched your heart, even just a little, if it reminded you of a truth you once knew but had forgotten, or opened a door inside you that you didn't know was still closed, then please share this video with someone who also carries quiet battles in their chest. Someone who may need to hear that it is never too late to soften, never too late to let go, never too late to come home to themselves. And if you'd like to keep walking this path with us, gently, slowly, with wisdom, then we invite you to subscribe to Quiet Wisdom, because we're here for more than just answers. We're here for the stillness, for the softness, for the truth that can only be heard when everything else is quiet. Thank you for being here. May your breath be calm. May your heart be light. And may you always remember, healing is not about who you were, but who you are becoming.